After Hurricane Katrina devastated the Gulf Coast in 2005, President George W. Bush declared a national emergency to do something Republicans had long wanted to do anyway. He suspended prevailing wage laws on federal contracts to rebuild the region. Democrats signed onto a bill to rewrite the law. Even dozens of moderate Republicans asked Bush to reconsider. But then a single congressman used a parliamentary maneuver never attempted before or since to challenge the underpinnings of the national emergency itself. Bush backed down without even a vote. The largely forgotten story of Bush's capitulation explains why Republicans have advised President Donald Trump against bypassing Congress and invoking a national emergency to build a wall along the Mexican border. In addition to raising legal questions, such a move would inevitably be challenged in court. A declaration would invite Congress to exercise its long-dormant power to revoke national emergencies. And all it would take is one member of Congress to force the issue. In 2005, that member was Representative George Miller, a California lawmaker who was the top Democrat on the House Education and Labor Committee. Calling Bush's decision callous and misguided, Miller's first move was to try to amend the Davis-Bacon Act of 1931. That law sets the prevailing wage for federal contracts, but allows the president to grant waivers in times of national emergency. But Democrats were in the minority, and while some Republicans were grumbling about Bush's move, they were unwilling to sign on to Miller's legislation, meaning it would never get to the House floor. The original intent of the 1975 law was to allow Congress to block a presidential emergency by simple majority vote. But in 1983, the U.S. Supreme Court struck down the legislative veto. So now, any joint resolution by Congress to terminate an emergency can be vetoed by the president. And McConnell said Trump could do exactly that. The president could win anyway by vetoing the bill and then trying to get enough votes to sustain it, so may ultimately be able to prevail on the national emergency alternative, McConnell told Fox News on Tuesday. Still, some GOP senators are already expressing discomfort over such a vote, and have asked Trump this week both publicly and privately not to put them in that position. "It's not my preferred choice," said Senator John Kennedy, RLA. "I hope he doesn't do it," said Senator John Cornyn, R. Texas. "It might be a tough vote to win here in the Senate," said Senator John Thune, RSD. "One concern is the precedent such a declaration would set. I think most Republicans will tell you that we really would like to find a way to avoid that type of a discussion if at all possible, because this goes beyond just this president," Senator Mike Rounds, RSD, told CNN on Wednesday. "This goes on to future presidents and what they might decide to declare an emergency for." Liza Goitein, director of the National Security Program at the Brennan Center for Justice, has advocated reforms to presidential emergency powers. "I think Congress has woken up to the idea that the process for declaring emergencies is too permissive," she says. "This isn't going to look good if the Republican Senate is voting to curtail the president's power. It's going to split Republicans and force Republicans to take a vote they don't want to take, and it may not go Trump's way." Trump did not mention the national emergency in his State of the Union address Tuesday, but says he's still considering it. A national emergency could allow him to transfer unspent military construction funds toward a wall. "I don't like to take things off the table," Trump told CBS in a pre-Super Bowl interview. "It's that alternative. It's national emergency, it's other things, and, there have been plenty national emergencies called."